Great hall of the Justice League. For the Justice League.
And welcome to Geek Out Loud. This is the official, what do we call this? The official YouTube of the official podcast of the blah, 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 yaggity schmaggity, blah, blah. My name's Steve Glosson. Glad to be along with everyone. And we're trying to make sure that all of the sound is right and we're coming through loud and clear to everybody. So, let us know there in the chat. We appreciate everyone being here. The intro, I got to tell you straight up, is glorious. It's been one of the joys of my life to use that intro. First of all, we just want to say thank you so much for 300 subscribers. I know to many people. 300's not a big deal. But to this little channel that honestly I had no idea when I was setting out to get it going what it would entail, what it would be. It's really cool to know that there are 300 people who have just clicked the subscribe button, because that's a pretty special thing. I mean, that means there's 300 people who actually want to see content from Geek Out Loud come through. So thank you all so much for showing up and showing out and subscribing and being a part of the Golaverse here on the YouTube. Look, and right out of the gate, we want to always admit and mention and acknowledge the pretension of the sunglasses. I recognize that this is a pretentious thing. It's a gimmick, and I just want to say it from the get-go. It's just a gimmick. I'm just having fun. These are actually, I don't know if you can see or not. They're Transformers Optimus Prime sunglasses. So, what better to do on Geek Out Loud than have Transformers sunglasses? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't anybody? We also want to say thanks to our Patreon supporters, those of you who support us at patreon.com/geek out loud. We appreciate every single one of you. I could not continue to do this without a little bit of support from you guys, and you guys make it all, you guys and ladies and gentlemen, you make it possible, you make it fun, and we try to make sure that we have good content for you out there on the Patreon. We've got some lost big honking shows that are out there. There's some movie commentaries coming up. Dave Jones reached out to me wanting to do another movie commentary coming up soon. And so we've got something up our sleeve that I think is going to be a really good time. So that's going to be exclusively over at patreon.com/geek out loud. We'll let you know once it's dropped what it is, and you may want to jump in on that tier of watching movies with Steve. You may just want to be part of the Patreon Zoo crew, or you may just want your name on the old Golaverse Wall of Fame. However you want it. Anyway, in the words of Journey, any way you want it, that's the way you need it, any way you want it. So thank you so much, those of you who support us over at patreon.com/geek out loud. It's so good to see so many of you who've shown up. I know it's a weird time of day, especially if you're not on the East Coast, if you're not in the Eastern time zone. It's kind of a weird time of day to try to tune in to a YouTube, but this just kind of was the best time I could do this and wanted to do a live stream. We've got several things coming up this week. I'm just trying to get all the business out of the way first. Y'all know how I am. Trying to get all the business out of the way. What if Geek Out Loud talked What If? Season finale coming up this week on Disney Plus. Tomorrow at the time of this recording, it'll drop. I believe the title is What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? So that's going to be some good times. And we're going to talk about it on Thursday night in the Cantina. We will broadcast live from Chewy's Cantina over on Facebook, and then that video will be up here, and the audio will be on the Geek Out Loud podcast feed. But we encourage you to join us live in Chewy's Cantina. We also go live on Mixler just for the audio for the Mixler Zoo crew. If you want to be there, hanging with us, doing that, and we'll have a good time. It'll be fun. We'll have Lucas, Lethargic Chewy. We'll have author Adam Bray, and we will have Justin Grant back with us. And we're going to be talking Marvel Comics. We're going to be talking What If. We're going to be talking all the good stuff that we've loved to talk on those shows. Probably a little toy talk, maybe a little comic talk. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen on What If Thursday night? So we're going to have a good time and hope that you can be with us. And so whether it's Jacob Roth or Rothwell, hey, this is the best way to avoid doing work. YouTube has that way about it, doesn't it? It'll just keep you from doing what you need to be doing. Atterbury's on vacation. David Atterbury, one of the greats of all time, is David Atterbury, and he is on vacation. Hope you guys are enjoying vacation. We're headed on vacation next week. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, though, and I'll tell you, one of the things that have become fun to do on vacation when we go different places is to try to check out some of these some of these antique malls and that sort of thing, where people have their booths set up, because you never know what kind of little treasures you may find, geeky and or otherwise. And sometimes you'll stumble across maybe some comic book finds. Sometimes you might find, you might find that you may not get what you want, but you might just find you get what you need. And so it's always a good time to go do that stuff. Are we quoting? Is that going to be the theme today? Quoting classic rock songs? Is that how it's going to go now? Is that where we're headed to quote to quote? Yeah, we're going to quote. Let us quote from the band Journey. Let us quote from the band Styx. The gig is up. The something's out. The finally found me. The Renegade. I don't know why I went that. I don't know why I didn't go Domo Origato, Mr. Roboto instead of. Why did I go to Renegade instead of Mr. Roboto? Because I'm going to tell you straight up, I know Mr. Roboto better than I know Renegade, which I know for some people that's sacrilege. If Kristen were here from Rock Out Loud, she'd say, Steve, that's sacrilege. So yeah, so we're going to quote it. We're going to quote when I see it written like that. That's Shaz Bazaar. When I see it written like that, it really sounds like it looks like a Star Wars name. You need to talk to Claude over on the moons of Yagnoth. More lyrics. Well, as they come to me, I'll definitely quote them. Dormo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Speaking of classic rock, there was an awful Steve Van Zandt impersonation in Many Saints of Newark. Oh, I haven't seen it. Is that the HBO thing? Is that the Goodfellas? The Sopranos prequel thing? I haven't watched that. I'm actually kind of embarrassed to say that we have watched Squid Game. Don't do it. It's a depressing show. Why does everything have to be dark and depressing these days? I don't know. It is the Sopranos prequel. Thanks, Jacob. So there it is. So yeah, I was right. I was right. All right. So I'm pretty excited for what we've got today as far as like just kind of showing the hall. We're going to do an episode here live of the hall. I'm going to be looking at your comments. I wish there was a way to take your questions. I mean to take your calls. I don't have call set up right now. We no longer have a number to call, and we're not set up to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this camera here and kind of walk through a bit of a hall there. So this is some fun stuff. Pumpkin spice candy. Everyone says watch Ted Lasso. Oh, Scott D. Ted Lasso is actually pretty good. Now listen. Okay, look, I hate to be that guy right now, but I'm about to be. There is an abundance of crass vulgarity in the first few episodes that really they don't need, and so it's kind of like, ooh, should we be watching this? But then they taper that all off, and just there is cussing now, and it's about a British soccer team, and there is some cussing, and particularly from one character, and they acknowledge it. But man, Ted Lasso is just a great character. I think he's fantastic. Stuffany's headed out to work right now. He can't stay. Isn't it like 5 in the morning where you're at, Stuffany? So Stuffany, one of the great YouTubers of all time, who deserves many more follows, many more subs, and he deserves to be doing this as his job, because he is a fantastic video editor and has done some great stuff at the behest of the Golaverse of all things. So, well, let's get into the hall real quick, and as I keep oh, now wait a minute. Now here we go. The wife and I just finished The Chosen. Jacob, The Chosen is phenomenal. We haven't watched the second season yet, so we've got to sit down and do that. The first season though, I absolutely loved the first season. In fact, I can't talk about the first episode of that first season without getting a little choked up. So we're not going to do that. We're going to jump over now to some comic books. How about that? I've been trying to get some organization going, as we've talked about, in the collection, and I really do think we're going to try to do. I mentioned it on the show Thursday. I think we're going to try to do a $20 comic book collection. In other words, I'm going to start with $20, try to flip some comics, try to find some comics at a good price and flip them, and build a collection up of Marvel 2-in-1, build a whole run of Marvel 2-in-1 annuals and all, and then we'll see where we go from there. We'll see if that's even doable. But I've also been going back through some of my older stuff, doing some pickups and stuff from some of my boxes. And this is one that I dug out the other day that I'd absolutely forgotten I had. This is Hulk Annual number 12. I think Hulk gets shrunk down in this. I'm not sure. It's been so long since I've read it, and I didn't pull it up on the on the Marvel Unlimited app because I was I just didn't. There you go. I don't like this Hulk. I don't like the art on this cover necessarily. Like, it has potential to be really, really cool, but his face looks so strange in this that it's hard to like. So, hey, is that Hulk gonna is Hulk gonna smash your leg? No, I made a stand for my comics out of Legos, and see how there's no real glare on the bags and everything. Like, I feel like I've kind of dialed into some stuff. And so they're all hanging out on and around Omega Supreme this time. So oh no, because you guys started looking into the comics, the first one I wanted to get was Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man's pretty good right now. They've had some fun stuff happening there. By and large, it's kind of it. I mean, it look, they're all tainted today by the woke politics, but but some of their bigger titles, they keep trying to tell some good stories, which is nice. This is Thunderbolts number 1. Now, Thunderbolts is a great concept. Thunderbolts came about in the late 90s. This is April 97, came about in 97 when the heroes were all gone because of the Onslaught situation, and had basically had their lives rebooted on an alternate Earth. And the only people that were left, there were a few heroes left, mostly X-Men. The Hulk was still around, but the Thunderbolts stepped up to fill that void. And this was a great introductory issue. It was a great kind of look at all these people, their powers, and they really do have, some very 90s looks to them, but also in some instances some pretty timeless looks. Particularly like Mach 3 and Citizen V are great. Anyhow, they end up being the Masters of Evil. The Masters of Evil had stepped in to try to take over the world, um, while all the heroes were gone. The Masters of Evil being Baron Zemo and company. Excuse me, real quick, while I turn away and put up a book here. All right, we're gonna start blowing through these pretty quick now. These are some stuff. I also look, someone. I'm sure my wife is watching, so someone needs to. I don't need to say this out loud. Sell them on Etsy. I may. I'm looking at some different things that aren't going to do, like eBay has some ridiculous fees and stuff. There's also some good. There's also some good. Yeah, Haley's here. Hey, Haley, love you. Um, there's also some good comic book sites where you can kind of sell pretty good. Um, Here we go. This is the aforementioned Marvel 2-in-1. This is issue number 30. This is one that I got from there's a seller on eBay that I found that he does really good prices. He has low starting bids basically, and so you don't end up having to pay too much if you don't get outbid. But like the minute I'm outbid for what I want to pay, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to bid anymore because I don't care about winning. It's just about this. But this is Marvel 2-in-1 number 30, and Marvel 2-in-1 was the Thing teaming up with somebody. In this case, it is Spider-Woman. And just like it often looks in these things, they're fighting here, but it'll probably end up teaming up together. Haven't read it. It's in okay condition, but this is one that is absolutely a favorite of mine that I've been able to pick up. This is Marvel 2-in-1 number 46, and this is Thing versus Hulk. And anytime you can get a Thing versus Hulk battle, that's what I'm all about. Oh, sell the Lego stands on Etsy. They're not that good. Uh, And anyone can make a Lego stand. You just take some Legos and set them up. I found I've got to get some more red Legos and blue Legos because I found a way to make a pattern to do like the Geek Out Loud symbol, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to have. So yeah, some fun Marvel 2-in-1 stuff, and I'm really hoping that if we do a $20 comic book collection, that we can put together a whole run of that series, mainly for the covers. The covers on all of the Marvel 2-in-1 stuff, really cool, really neat. Now I'm about to blow through some things because this is some of me reclaiming childhood stuff, is what's going on here. This is Fantastic Four number 314, from the page of the X-Men Belasco. The Fantastic Four had a situation. This is when you've got mutated Ben Grimm, the Miss Marvel, who would later people refer to as She-Thing, Johnny Storm, and Crystal as the Fantastic Four. Reed and Sue had left to go raise Franklin, and Crystal and her name is Sherry. Miss Marvel came in to step in and fill the void, and so they'd been in a situation with not they'd kind of been a mole man situation, but they decided, hey, let's go explore some of these caves because Ben had spent some time with the mole man back in the day. And this kind of begins the whole thing that ends up like taking them to a whole other galaxy. Here is a cover with the aforementioned mutated thing and the She-Thing, Miss Marvel, in an embrace because they did love each other. Because at this time, Johnny Storm was married to Alicia Masters, because Ben Grimm, who was Alicia Masters' original boyfriend, had stayed behind on Battle World after the Secret Wars, and Johnny and Alicia fell in love, and he and Crystal had a relationship in the past, but at this point, Crystal was married to, y'all know Pietro Quicksilver, and so this is like, we can't be together, and then they're like, we can be together. So it's all that kind of lot of drama, a lot of soap opera drama for a kid reading comics back in the day. This is a continuation of all of that stuff. Like the cover of that doesn't really tell what goes on inside. Inside, you've got they're down in the Arctic and they end up seeing the name Beyonder on something, and so like, oh no, not him. Well, here we go. This is Doctor Doom has stepped in, and Crystal left in I think it was annual number 21 is in the midst of this whole storyline, and so Doctor Doom somehow teams up with them, and they end up going into the negative zone and pushing beyond the negative zone to get into a world ruled and created by the Beyonder. That was in 319, and then in 320, they're all back and they're taking a break, and the Thing ends up fighting the Hulk, and then the Hulk that spills over into issue 350 of the Incredible Hulk, and then in 321, Miss Marvel and She-Hulk have a bit of a misunderstanding, and She-Hulk, is just there to check on Ben, and a fight ensues. And who is that? Well, that's Dragon Man. And Dragon Man has been employed by a rogue watcher named Aaron, who will come into play later on. 322, Graviton shows up, and this is during the Inferno saga that took place, starting in the pages of the X-Men, and it affected all of New York. The Hobgoblin was badly affected by the events of Inferno, and continuing on right here is Kang shows up, and he's after Mantis because Mantis is supposed to be his wife, and they're going to have like some kind of messianic child together or something. I don't know. It's some cosmic craziness, but it's Kang, and he's back and everything. And around this time, Johnny would have to go supernova, and he would lose control of his flame. This is continuing that story. This is 324. Well, basically, what I found is a bunch of like a couple of lots that were just runs of the Fantastic Four. And these are all comics that I'd had, and I don't know that I have them anymore, you see. And since I was able to get them in a decent condition, it was fun. It was great. So works out. Let's see what I got to have here. Let me answer a question real quick. If you hear a noise in the background, it is a blender. Fantastic Four 325. Johnny Storm through all their adventures with Kang and everything, gets trapped a million miles from Earth, but he's gone supernova and can't nova down, can't flame off. So, so he's okay in space, but the Silver Surfer, of course, will save him. And let me do this real quick. Let me get these things in a short box back here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. And because now there's also, behind the scenes there was some stuff that was going on as well, which, gets into some shady kind of things sometimes. It's so sad to find out when you love something that there are people who had bad times doing it. And the big run that I just told you about, where they go all over literally two universes, was a run done primarily by Steve Englehart. And then as that closed out, for whatever reason, maybe the book wasn't selling, I don't know. Um, the powers that be decided they didn't want Steve Englehart on it anymore. This is his story, of course. And they went to some more traditional storytelling. Be right with you. And that brought Reed and Sue back. And of course, Reed comes back to help Johnny out and get him in there. And then the Frightful Four shows up. This Frightful Four made up of the Wizard, who's always the leader, Claw, that's the red man down there in the bottom corner that Reed's he's made of sound. You'll know him. Andy Serkis played this character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Titania, who was actually created in Secret Wars, and then Hydro Man. So that was this version of the Frightful Four. The Frightful Four had a lot of versions through the years. They started with Sandman and Paste Pot Pete, aka the Trapster, later on, and Medusa of the Inhumans, and of course the Wizard, who was always kind of the head honcho there. Well, in the midst of Johnny getting turned back into himself, did we show this one yet? No, we did not. This is the next issue. Ben Grimm becomes human again. And so the Thing is no more. And so in the middle of the fight, he's no good to anybody. And of course, they all lose. And there's Ben Grimm. What can one man do? And it just rolls from one thing into another. But at the end of that, they're all defeated. All 8 of them, 9 counting Ben, are defeated and out cold. And this is your cover for 329. And you're like, what in the world is going on? Why is he the Thing again? And why are they beating up on the Mole Man? Because at this point, the Mole Man had kind of become a real sympathetic character. Well, that's because this is a clone group of the Fantastic Four. This is cloned from their DNA. A Rogue Watcher did that. And then the next few issues become a look into the minds and the dreams of the Fantastic Four. So what you have here is a run of three issues or so that are basically what if stories. This is what if Doctor Doom assembled a group of like villains and basically the world ends up blowing up. This is what if Ultron shows up. In fact, it even says it's a dream, it's a hoax, it's an imaginary story, and it's also Ultron. They used to say not a dream, not a hoax, when something major was happening. Not a dream, not a hoax. And here it is a dream, it is a hoax, it's an imaginary story, which they're all imaginary stories. So that's pretty funny. And then this one, what happens is well, the Invisible Woman and Crystal get into a big fight, and this is all in Johnny's dream, and they're all in suspended animation, I should say, the actual Fantastic Four and Frightful Four. And so Johnny is the one that kind of wakes up because of just how intense and scary and sad this dream was for him. And so what we get in the next issue is the Fantastic Four fighting the Fantastic Four, and so it's the clones versus the real deal, and of course, good wins the day. I mean, like that is this story arc is so. I mean, like to me, that's what comic books are all about. It is a story arc that leads into a story arc that leads into a story arc. What would happen at the end of this is the Acts of Vengeance. Walt Simonson came onto the thing. How often do I go back and read these? Well, back in the day, I used to read and reread and reread and reread because um, there was no comic book seller in my area, and you could find every now and again a convenience store with a few comics on a rack or on a shelf here or there, and so you just kind of got what you could get. And but when I did get to go, like my grandmother lived about an hour away, and we would go cut her grass, and she would give me like a $10 or $20 bill for doing that. And I would immediately be like, "You got to take me to the bookstore." Well, the bookstore there in town sold comics, and so I would get as many. And in those days, it was a dollar. A comic was a dollar. So if you got a $10 bill, you think taxes are, I can get 9 comics, or I can dip over in the back issues and see if there's something kind of cheap that I can grab onto. And so, if I had any extra money on me, I'd have that with me. And so I would make a comic run and try to get about 15, 15 or 20 comics, and on the way home would read them. But then I'd go back and reread and reread and reread just to kind of get the story down and get the feel of everything. So these are stories that are burned into my brain because I read them over and over and over and over again. And the thing is, like you start like that. The last issue I just showed you here was 333. Well, that's almost 3 years after um, everything kind of changed with the Fantastic Four, and the Thing took over, and then the mutation happened in issue 310. So you're looking at about 2 years worth of this new version of the Thing. And man, so much happened, and it's just one story rolls into the next and into the next and into the next. And then you have the Acts of Vengeance, where it's funny enough when you think about like Civil War and what the comic book version of Civil War was all about, or even I guess, even the movie version was about a superhero registration act, basically. And it's really interesting because Reed Richards goes to Congress. There were 3 parts of the Acts of Vengeance story arc um with the Fantastic Four, and they had just a bunch of like second-rate villains try to attack them, but they were all being mind controlled by someone, and I don't remember who it ended up being. But anyhow, there they are. They actually go to Congress where Reed Richards is speaking against the creation of a superhero registration act. And a few years later, when they did Civil War, Reed would be on the side of superhero registration. So there's no continuity in comics. We had a gas station down the road from me when I was a kid that sold comics, very limited. Yep, summers for comics at Field and slush puppies for me. That's right. Yeah, listen. To me, there was a store that sometimes had some comics on their shelves, and I would go down there and get some. For me, it was Jolly Ranchers and comics, Jolly Ranchers and cards, and that was my summers. That was anytime I could get around to it. My comic book store was any grocery store, any 7-Eleven, or a Circle K. Indeed, indeed. Jonathan Bell just got off work. Working man. Way to go, Jonathan Bell. So the Acts of Vengeance would come in, then Walt Simonson would come in and do like, because the whole thing about Fantastic Four was what kind of adventure can we send them on? And in this case, he sent them on a time spanning adventure that on their way back, they ended up getting trapped into another, or not trapped, they went to the wrong Earth, they went to the wrong universe, and they ended up in a universe where Stalin had never died and was running the place. Just a second here while I get these things all put up right. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Now, Simonson had a super, super successful and much revered run on the Mighty Thor. And when uh, when he was through with that, I don't know if he came here directly from his Thor run, but there was something about the way he was inked that I used to have a real problem with his art. This is they get back to their world, I think, but they find this island. It's not really Monster Island, but it's like the land of the lost almost. And Ben Grimm is now in his he's got an exosuit that is like the Thing. And for some reason on this particular island, I think they all lost their powers. And so that's why you see Sherry over here not in her thing body. Well, then some scrolls show up, and there's a little offbeat tale with some scrolls. And this leads into it says this issue's got everything, and it really does. Because they like this is just one of those tales that they tell that just really are just like it's there to fire up the imagination. And so that leads into because the Fantastic Four get taken, they need a substitute Fantastic Four, and here they are. This is a 90s cover, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hulk, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Spider-Man. This is everything that everybody loved in the 90s. Those convenience stores have the freezer by the register with a slide. Yes, of course they did. They had the ice cream treats. The mine always did. There was never Italian ice down in South Georgia. It was always the ice cream treats. But you don't get much more 90s than this cover. And this is a team up that they to this day it's still one of those things. It's like they're the substitute Fantastic Four sometimes. So, but yeah, Ghost Rider, I'm sorry, on his 90s looking motorcycle. Spider-Man, who was always Spider-Man. Spider-Man was big in the 90s, and he really had gotten super. He was always big. He's a Marvel Comics, icon, for crying out loud. But Todd McFarlane really just blew him up in the 90s. And so he was still riding that wave. And Wolverine is Wolverine, and the Gray Hulk is just like, well, we got to have some muscle. Well, who better to have muscle? Who better to stand in for the thing than the Hulk? And so they even changed the corner up here and put them in there. So how do you out 90s that cover? Well, you get them all together on the cover, and then Cyclops is in the way. And then there's an appearance by the Punisher. Like they literally tease a cameo by the Punisher. And spoiler alert, the cameo is at the very end. The Punisher is flying over. He's following in a helicopter because the Punisher has a helicopter, a giant monster that's flying back to Monster Island where the Mole Man lives. And the monster lands, and he sees the Fantastic Four and the Hulk and Ghost Rider and Spider-Man. He's like, they've got this. I'm headed to Colombia to take out some drug lords or something. So that's literally the extent of his cameo. But they billboarded it on the front cover because Punisher was selling books in the day. So that was $3.49. And then that leads us into one of my favorite comics of Walt Simonson's run, Fantastic Four, $3.50. This is the return of the real Doctor Doom. This is the return of the Thing. You can see on the cover, he says, ain't nothing like the real Thing. And this is everything that I loved about comics and storytelling in these days. What do I mean the real Doctor Doom? Doctor Doom had been gone. He'd actually died way back in Fantastic Four. Check me out on this, 260, I believe. And but he came back during the Secret Wars, which was weird because he was supposed to be dead. Well, he had a contingency plan where he had a child from his kingdom, Latveria, conditioned to step in and take his place as the monarch of Latveria. And so the kid named Kristoff put on the Doom armor and everything, and because of the programming, thought he was Doctor Doom. Well, it's a convoluted mess, but ultimately, for years, Doctor Doom and Kristoff fought back and forth for the kingdom of Latveria, and Doctor Doom could never get it. Get it, Guitar Zan. Well, look, this is where I should have like images floating across the screen and everything, but it's a live stream, so I'm just running my mouth about this stuff. This is us sitting around looking at comic book covers and me doing what Justin Grant does so well, just start telling the story. Anyway, what happens in this issue is the real Doctor Doom shows up as Kristoff and Doctor Doom are fighting, and come to find out, the Doctor Doom that's been fighting Kristoff was a Doombot that went against his program, because Doombots look just like Doom, but when they're in his actual presence, they recognize that they are Doom bots. If they're not around him, they actually act as Doom. Well, this one didn't shut down right. So then he says the magic word, basically, or the word to snap Kristoff out of his programming, and Kristoff comes back, and everything's good. Dr. Doom changes Sherry back to human, and in the process of trying to go save Sherry, Ben Grimm decides it's time to be the Thing again, so he becomes the Thing. Then Dr. Doom challenges Reed Richards to a fight, but before we do that, we have a quick little stand-in tale, just a fill-in tale while we finished up 352. So that's 351, and then boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say Ayo, Ayo. Fantastic Four 352. This is the first appearance of Mobius. Now, you guys know him from Loki. And so he shows up here, but this is a cool concept. Notice on the cover here that says 12:33 a.m. What's going on in this particular issue is Dr. Doom and Reed are fighting through time, but it's not like we're jumping into the prehistoric days. We're now jumping into the futuristic times. They're like blinking in and out of minutes, and so you read through one time all the way through, and it's kind of a confusing fight because you're reading from the perspective of everyone else that's not involved in the fight. But then they put the timestamps in there that you can actually chase down the timestamps and follow Dr. Doom and Reed Richards fight in the order that they're having it. It was a really, really cool concept. And it caused books like this to get beat up if people read them, because you read them like 2 or 3 times to get the full flavor of what was going on there. So that's Fantastic Four 352. This is Fantastic Four 371. It's just an all white cover. There is an alternative cover that's all red. You can't see it, but there's it's Johnny Storm, and it's raised, it's stamped, kind of raised, and it's just a perfectly white cover. This is Fantastic Four Annual number 24. This is the Korvac quest. Korvac was a villain of the Avengers, and I have a few of that saga from back in the day, and they team up here with the Guardians of the Galaxy, not the Guardians that you know from the MCU, but the Guardians I knew from 1990s comics. And that's the first part of that. This is the last part of that. I got to find the other 2 middle issues, but this is the Guardians of the Galaxy, and look what it says right there. I don't know if you can make that out. Let's see if I can get that close to the camera to see if you can make it out. End game. So there you go. So that's my Fantastic Four and 1 Guardians of the Galaxy that I've picked up. This is one that I was really excited to be able to get for a good price, even though it's not in the best of shape. A lot of fading up here. Incredible Hulk 206. That image of the Hulk there that you see is an image that would be used, that pose, that running pose, the swatting back, the one arm up. That is a pose that would be used in a lot of marketing, outside marketing of the Incredible Hulk toy lines. We had a tumbling mat for some reason that was an Incredible Hulk tumbling mat, and this was all over it. So this is 70s Hulk on products, like right there, and that's the image that it comes from, Hulk number 206. I was getting those others in the short box there. Jumping way ahead is Hulk number 244. It Lives. That's just a great cover. Anytime the Hulk's getting beat up by something, like it just makes you wonder. But he's also got him grabbed by his little toe there, it looks like. You got this little piggy went to the market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. And he's got a little piggy that went wee all the way home in his hand there. So yeah, I don't know what it is, by the way. Here we go. This is one, if you pull this issue up, Hulk number 296, if you have the Marvel Unlimited app and you pull this Choose Your Own Adventure, yeah, with the pitties, are you talking about Choose Your Own Adventure with the little piggies? Yeah, that's right. If you pull this book up on the Marvel Unlimited app, you're going to see that there's a lot of it cut out, because this individual here that's shooting at the Hulk, is Rom the Space Knight. And Marvel no longer has the rights, the publishing rights for Rom the Space Knight. He's with IDW now, kind of in that Hasbro universe that they tried to build up. And so they just have a little bit of dialogue, or a little bit of, like, they have black screens with white writing telling you about the knight from space who attacked. So you don't really get any of this issue of them battling or what they're doing there. You just get a few things without him in it. Um, and this is kind of a Secret Wars crossover, the original Secret Wars, because I think this is the first. This may be the first issue where Hulk's back from Battle World, and he's losing it. He's losing it. So, a couple other things I was kind of excited to get my hands on. The Thing. This is his own title that he had. This is number 27, and he's brawling with the Black Marauder, the Thunder Riders. The Thing. Look at this up here. I don't know if you can see. He's wearing a wrestling singlet that, and he'd had this look in the Fantastic Four a time or two with, like, the singlet, but this is like not Fantastic Four colors. This is red on black, or yeah, this is black with a red belt. It looks like, with some red highlights, maybe some reddish black boots going on there. Basically, what I'm telling you is, if I could sew, I would make a Marvel Legends size singlet for my Thing, the Thing action figure, because just to have this version on the shelf. This is number 35, and this is I don't know if this is the first appearance of the new Miss Marvel, but that is Sharon Ventura. She is the one who will eventually become a Thing in issue 310 of the Fantastic Four. But this is where he met her in this series, and I think they were actually wrestlers. I think that's what was going on. They were part of a wrestling thing. And here's She-Hulk versus the new Miss Marvel right here in issue number 36. And She-Hulk there is wearing blue because this is the time when she was part of the Fantastic Four. So just some really cool stuff. I just look. The Thing is one of my favorite characters of all time, and there's just something about his look, and his personality is fantastic. Being the muscle of Fantastic Four and everything, I just always loved that character and dug what he is and what he brings to the table. A couple more books to get through here that came from the interwebs, and then I've got a few finds that came from the wild. I'm really excited to show you these next few books here. This is one of the greatest crossovers of all time. This is Secret Wars number 3. And I mean, just look at that cover. You've got X-Men on there. You've got Spider-Man fighting the X-Men. And it's just like, there's Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm with the Mohawk, Rogue back there in the background, Professor X, and of course, who could forget Wolverine? So that's Secret Wars number 3. It's just such a fun mini series. Here's issue number 6. Now, this is all these villains that are here. I love this cover, because I loved all these Secret Wars covers because of just how many people they would put on these things. And so the first issue, issue number 1, was actually all the heroes that were involved. And so this is kind of an answer to that, because this is most of the villains that are involved in the Secret Wars situation. This is Secret Wars number 9, right after Secret Wars number 8. Secret Wars number 8 included Spider-Man getting the new suit. Secret Wars number 9, they're attacking Galactus, who is getting ready to eat Battle World. And then issue number 10, this is Dr. Doom, who actually he's trying to go up against the Beyonder. And it looks like he's losing, but surprise, 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 in issue number 12, as we come to the big climax, we find out that Dr. Doom may very well have won. And that's something that no one in the universe wants, is a Dr. Doom victory. So those were found on eBay. And then finally, this one, look, Make Way for the Man Elephant. Savage She-Hulk number 17. This is from the 70s. This is actually 1981, I think. And yeah, the Man Elephant. He should team up with the Rhino, and they will have them a good old team up. Real quick, just a few more. The store that Lucas and I have been to, there's a guy in town he'll call us every now and again, be like, "Hey, I got this in, I got this in. You need to come check it out and see if there's anything you want." And so we did, and got a really good deal on some stuff. Last time we did a haul, I showed you the Web of Spider-Man #1, and look at what's it say? Lots of motorcycles in the old Thing comics. Just read one with a Thing in Team America, aka the Thunder Riders. That's right, the Thunder Riders. Yeah, man, I love the idea of the Thing out on his own adventures. So anyhow, this is one I think we got from that dude. This is Fantastic Four number 231, Nightmare in the Negative Zone. That's not Magneto, but he looks like Magneto. This was a cool find because it's actually a lot of the guy's stuff that he had wasn't in the best of shape. But this one actually was in pretty good condition. This was a very weird offbeat thing with the Fantastic Four fighting the X-Men. It was a 4-issue limited series, and there's some disturbing covers in this whole thing. And this is where we really learned just how powerful Franklin Richards was. This is a fun one, and again, this is one I just picked up for the fun of it as a child. I love this guy, the Spider Kid. He wanted to be Spider-Man's sidekick, and look, you think it's silly, but I wouldn't surprise me. Look, we got Frogman. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a Marvel Legends of that very soon. Here's another. This again in the wild. This is one of those things that it's hard really to come by. But this is number 2 of the Thing. And it's not in the best shape. It's got some places where there were some creases that broke the color and some spine ticks and stuff, and it's a little dirty. But it's really cool to have Thing number 2. Not to be confused with Thing number 2. Oh, I wasn't even showing those, was I? Look at me. I was on here the whole time. Real quick, blow through these again real fast. Fantastic Four. That looks like Magneto, but it's not. Fantastic Four versus X-Men. There's Franklin Richards. Very disturbing cover. Sorry, everyone. That was a terrible job on my part. And then Amazing Spider-Man, number 263. The Spider Boy, Spider Kid. Don't tell me there won't be a Marvel Legends of that at some point. They did Frogman, for crying out loud. And then Thing number 2. Not the Dr. Seuss Thing 2, but the issue number 2. So, and then in that same lot with that dude, he had several issues of the Savage She-Hulk. So number 4. So that's a low number, and it's in okay shape. There's some, again, a lot of these were dirty and some potential spine rolls and some fading in some places. This is She-Hulk number 9, Savage She-Hulk number 9, and this is Savage She-Hulk number 15. So so some fun pickups there with the She-Hulk. She's in that Hulk family, so you got to pick her up. But then he also had some John Byrne Savage She-Hulk or Sensational She-Hulk from the late 80s, early 90s. I grabbed this one because Zimnu is in it. Zimnu is a character who has fascinated me. I wasn't really super aware of him until he was in the Immortal Hulk. And these are all dealer's copies. Yeah, you know what? I honestly, he got them from somewhere. They're definitely direct. They're direct edition. There are no newsstands here. And the way you know is the UPC versus the Spidey face in the bottom, and these older ones like this. These Sensational She-Hulks aren't in the best shape. Again, there's some color, there's some discoloration and some fading. They just haven't been taken care of or stored well. But Zimnu was one of those characters, like he showed up in the Immortal Hulk, and like had everyone convinced that he was the Hulk. Like there was this whole mind control thing, and then I find out that like in the old original, like Tales to Astonish or whatever, he shows up and they call it before the days of the Hulk. Like he shows up and he is the Hulk. And did you try to draw all the characters yourself? That was my favorite thing to do with the old 70s, 80s, 90s comics, especially Batman, Iron Man, and Acro Year. I don't know Acro Year. I've never been able to draw, so no, I didn't. I tried to learn to do like a Spidey face, like a Spidey head. Um, and I've tried to learn to draw the Superman S, but I could never do bodies or anything. Anyhow, Zimnu was in this comic, and I really thought that was cool. But also in this comic is this guy, the Razorback. So supporting cast member. Um, the thing is in the Sensational She-Hulk, she was breaking the fourth wall before Deadpool was even thought of. So she's the original breaking the fourth wall, realizes she's in a comic kind of thing. And so there were a few of these Sensational She-Hulk issues that were out there. So that was 7, 8. This is 10. And what you'll also see in this was all John Byrne. You'll see a lot of like send ups of stuff. Here she says X-Men Assemble, and it's like kind of like a cosplay X-Men situation going there. Howard the Duck is in this episode. Speak English, Duck, is what she's saying. That's Howard down there, trying to warn her from these people with propellers coming out of their bodies. And this was one I remember this cover so vividly. This is featuring Dr. Dooms. And if you see right there, Dr. Doom's fifth cousin. And that's this guy. He's a dentist wearing a metal mask. And here's a send up of some DC stuff. Marvel would do this every now and again, trapped in Dorkham Asylum. And so there are parody characters of some Batman characters in this thing. But of course, this looks pretty dire for the Sensational She-Hulk. And then there was one more with kind of a female abomination looking character issue. And this is not in good shape at all. So yeah, it's cool because like you get them for a good price, but they're not in the best shape when you when you get them home, which is unfortunate because there's some really good books there. But you know, you dig in there and you find a couple that have kind of just stayed in a good condition um because of being kind of compressed between some other books and that sort of thing. I brought up Deadpool. I did bring up Deadpool. Um, what's this say? Oh, bad guy from the mic. Okay, Acro Year was the bad guy from the Micronauts. Micronauts. Gotcha, Scott D. Shaz says I drew Alien Legion in the 80s. And I did bring up Deadpool. And sorry, I meant to say, what are your thoughts on it? My thoughts on Deadpool. Um, Here's the thing about Deadpool. I was never a huge Deadpool fan. Um, and so I can't really speak to him because honestly in the 90s with the mutant hype being so big, I think I'm a contrarian. I really do. I think that when it really comes right down to it, I'm just a contrarian. And so I'm not trying to be counterculture or trying to be cooler or trying to be hipster or anything. I think though that when it comes right down to it, that there's things when a lot of people get into a lot of things, I tend to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay. It's too much. There's too much hype around it. So I didn't get into like the mutant books and stuff. I didn't get on the X-Men hype train. I didn't get on the Wolverine hype train. So when Deadpool comes around and everyone's like, Deadpool, I never really got on board with all of that. Having said that, I don't know that I think the Ryan Reynolds stuff captures the spirit of Deadpool, but I don't know that it has to be as vulgar as it is to be funny. I think that that's one of the things that like um that Deadpool's whole deal is like he just won't shut up and he breaks the fourth wall, and so it's funny. But like I say, She-Hulk was doing that in the pages of Sensational She-Hulk before Deadpool was even thought of, and you know, showing up in the pages of the New Mutants and everything. So um you know, I don't have a problem with Deadpool. I think he's got a cool look, but I also think that Deadpool has that my wife says he's no Green Lantern, and that's true. Um I He's got that look from around that era though, like the Spawn, Spider-Man, kind of like the eyes and everything on the mask and all the way it is. Obviously he's got, you can see eye something in there, but it's the design and everything. Let's pull up a picture of Deadpool from the comics. Deadpool comic version. So we'll see what we're talking about here. I did read he was in a run of the Thunderbolts that that was that they were all red. It was like Red Hulk, and somehow the leader was red, and I forget who all else was in that with him, but Deadpool showed up and was part of it, and so he played off of the Red Hulk, who was Thunderbolt Ross, really well, and so I'm not anti Deadpool per se. I just don't think that I just don't think that he is the I just don't think he's as cool, he's as awesome as everyone says he is. And he's just never been my favorite. So let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm sorry, I got distracted. There we go. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This comes courtesy of, well, this is an image from Amazon. So um but you see there the eyes. Um he's got those black things around his eyes, and it really does evoke in a lot of ways. I know it's not look, you can say it's not supposed to. It evokes a Spider-Man look and feel. It does. Like, come on, let's not play coy now, Mr. Wayne. Um, it is you don't have to be coy, Roy. Just get on the bus, Gus. Um, so yeah, I think so. Steve's all about he jumps on every single all of it. That's not true. I'm not jumping on the I've jumped on the YouTube bandwagon. That's true. I'm a late adopter of a lot of some of this stuff. I used to be an early adopter, remember? Drawing characters was the reason I got into comics. I didn't actually read them until much later on. I know a lot of people like that, Mark All. The Deadpool Spider-Man series a couple years ago was fun. It was fun. I read a couple of issues of that. One of the issues I think was written by Scott Aukerman from Comedy Bang Bang. So um, we loved our full mask guys. We couldn't see any face. That's true. Spider-Man, Deadpool, Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander. Yeah. Now Cobra Commander and Dead and Snake Eyes. That's true. When Cobra Commander had that, I was always a fan of like mirror face Cobra Commander. I know a lot of people like the hooded Cobra Commander better. I always like mirror face Cobra Commander. Destro was always a super huge mystery to me too. I always thought, man, this guy, what is his deal? Why has he got a metal head? What's going on there? The Question was always a weird one over in the DC side of things. He had like no face at all. You can't see me. But then Breathless Mahoney and Dick Tracy also had that whole thing going with the no face. You can't see me deal. But what did she call herself? What did Breathless Mahoney? Quick, here's one of those things you want to email the show about, but you can comment right now. What was the character's name in Dick Tracy that was faceless, and it ended up being, spoiler alert, ended up being Breathless Mahoney? Boba Fett. That's true. Boba Fett's a good one with no face showing. Let me pull that pull that content. Boba Fur. Fett can't type. Well, listen, I don't know about that. That's between Boba Fett and his keyboard. What was it? Breathless Mahoney. I can't remember what the actual name was. Let's see if we can find out here. 1990s movie. She was played by Madonna. That's why my mom wouldn't let us go see it. I did collect the cards though. I don't see anywhere where it says. They just won't spoil it here, will they? Of course, I'm trying to skim. Anyone got that for me yet? No. No one knows what I'm talking about from the Dick Tracy movie. No Face. Was it No Face? Let's find out. Mark All for the win. No Face. Dick Tracy. Now in the comics, it was called The Blank. The what? The Blank. No, you don't fill in the blank. Maybe it was. Maybe she was called The Blank. Yeah. Yeah, they just called The Blank. But you know what? When I put No Face Dick Tracy, that's what came up, The Blank. So yeah, because you had in the Tracy, you had Prune Face and Rat Face and Big Lips McGee. What was the big lip guy's name? Blah, blah, blah. Mumbles. Remember Mumbles? That was actually not a bad movie. Predator. Yeah, Predator had no face. I guess he had a mask that showed no face, but he had kind of a face. Yeah, I guess so. Because you did see the eyes and stuff, but there was no face. Of course, he wasn't human. So there's that. Who else, guys? Who else had masks in the 80s and 90s that didn't really show their face a lot? The Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And come back here, I'll gum you to death. Tintin, the blank. We got it, man. I feel like maybe the delay is longer than I want the delay to be. Well, should have Derek here to do an apple. Apple. All right. So one final thing that came in very early, which I was really excited about, is this big man. Look at that on a retro card. Speaking of the Thing himself, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel's Thing. Now, I haven't popped him open yet. He is the same mold as the other two, but he's got a different head, two different head sculpts here. And the paint app is a little bit different. There's a weird kind of brownish wash that goes right across his shoulders and chest there. It's kind of a strange choice, and it stands out. But now in the light here, the way it's on camera actually looks pretty good. But yeah, I was pretty excited that this came so early because pre-ordered it as soon as there's a whole wave, and pre-ordered it when they were when we were able to, and so oh, I had one. We've got a man down. Got a man down. Man down, and dog trying to get up. I hear the dog. Let's see. I'm posing. Not a poser, but I'm posing. Why? Don't stick your butt out like that, man. Look cool when you walk. There you go. There you go. And he's out. There he goes. The dog doesn't like to get stuck in here too much, but he also doesn't like for me to be in here and the door shut. My wife's dog doesn't like for doors to be shut. Who knew? So anyhow, I was trying to do some posing there. Pose down, and now I need to open this John, but I can't find the can't find my opener. That's never good. What's going on in the chat? I was thinking of Little Face from Dick Tracy. Yeah, there was Little Face who had a big old head too, didn't he? So Warduke. I don't know what Warduke is. Back to people with no face on their mask, with their face completely covered by the mask. I couldn't be a hero doing that. I feel like it'd be just too stifling and just annoying to be in that situation. I just couldn't do it. I don't know how Spider-Man does it, to be honest with you. Like, I don't blame him. Iron Man, I guess, same thing. You know, of course, he's been around since the 60s. Doctor Doom, in a lot of ways, didn't, had a mask, didn't show his face. Even the Thing got cut real bad by Wolverine and didn't heal right. And so he had to wear a protective helmet that had, no face to it. So I guess they're just trying to make everything back in the 90s work that way. Oh man. Well, you guys don't want to sit here and see me open a toy. That's kind of a ridiculous thing. So I guess it works out okay that I did not bring the toy opener back in here with me. So, well, it's a cool figure. I'm pretty excited to get him open and check him out. He also has, I believe, some fists for punching up in there, and yeah. So he is he on that retro card, which honestly I don't have any connection to the retro cards for these things. Deathstroke, Red Hood, that's good. That's good. Seeing all these guys coming through here now. See, now you're getting over in the DC universe, and and I do know the DC universe, but not I don't get too deep in the DC universe. I guess I could pull out the superhero encyclopedia and see what's in there, but you know what? No time. There's no time for all that. So, look, ultimately, we just want to thank you, or I just want to thank you all for 300 subscribers. I mean, that's huge. That's a big, big deal. That to me, that there's 300 subscribers, and there's a lot that goes on. The podcast. Lucas has been uh, just absolutely instrumental in kind of having some regular podcasts for Geek Out Loud lately with the What If talk and all. And of course, we spill over into other things on that show, and that's been fun to do. And we'll have more Geek Out Loud proper. Dune is coming up, and I know a lot of people are excited about that. This Spider-Man No Way Home thing is kind of intriguing to me, and it's not as far away as you may think it is. On November 11th, I believe, um, I'll be in Kennesaw, Georgia, at the AMC Barrett Commons, watching the director's cut of Rocky Four. They're calling it Rocky Four, Rocky versus Drago, and I am excited about that. And so we're saying that if you're in the area and you want to get some tickets, get tickets and go. It's an 8 o'clock show that night, and come hang out. We'll be there. My wife and I will be there. I think John Eddie Lowe and his wife are going to be there. I know Carissa said she's going to check her calendar, and they're going to try to jump in on that. So it's a Fathom event. So use your Fathom app, or you can even do that through the Fandango app. Um, get tickets to those things. So Shocker, yeah, the Shocker he had a mask that covered up his whole face. War Duke was from Dungeons and Dragons cartoon stuff. I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons. Wasn't allowed to watch Dungeons and Dragons cartoons back in the day. I have seen where they're releasing some new stuff. So likely be at the National Peanut Festival. I thought you were done with the National Peanut Festival, Shaz Bazaar. Now that the kids aren't in the band anymore. So yeah, so just shoot us an email at geekoutonline@gmail.com, and like us on, go over and be part of the Gulliver's group at geekoutonline.com/group, or get in the Chewy's Cantina to do all your fun toy talk. And I know that Lucas this week is going to be doing a a lunch with Chewy sale on Friday, so you want to jump in on that. I won't be able to be a part of that, but go ahead and join up at geekoutonline.com/cantina. And then Thursday night, 8 p.m., What If season finale talk. It's going to be myself, Lucas, the aforementioned Lucas, Lethargic Chewy, author Adam Bray, and Justin Grant, aka Tinton, who we're going to be talking all the stuff. So never done. Boiled peanuts, yes, boiled peanuts. Is there any other way? So yeah, so I hope you guys will be able to join us in Kennesaw. I hope that you'll be able to join us live Thursday. I hope that you'll like, if you're catching this later on and you watch me look through some comics with everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. I don't know what else to do with this channel other than stuff like that. So and as we figure it out, we'll figure it out. So I need to learn to edit. I've got great ideas when it comes to like doing stuff to editing. I have visions and dreams of like cooking on this channel, and and just doing everything that I ever kind of talk about on the podcast. So, all kinds of fun stuff. If you're wondering what boiled peanuts are, ladies and gentlemen, I know there are many of you from different parts of the world and the country that are tuning in right now, and you see this term on your screen, boiled peanuts, and you're like, "What in the world? Lots of peanuts." Um, you need to know that's a delicacy you don't want to miss. And I think you know what, simply because I was able to go to South Georgia this year is the only reason I think I've had any boiled peanuts this year, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad. I wasn't aggressive about finding what they call green peanuts this year. Doesn't mean they are green as in the color. It just means that they are raw and not dried out. They haven't been dried out for roasting They have been pulled up and picked off the vine and washed and thrown into a salty pot of boiling water or a pot of salty boiling water. So yeah, anyway, look, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I am rambling. And what I don't like right now about the YouTube is I can't just pick a song and end on it, because all of a sudden they'll be like, well, that's a copyright strike. You can't do this. That's a copyright strike. You can't play 30 seconds of a song and just do that, because, well, that's a copyright strike. So what do I do except just say, see ya? I know there's like some kind of, pod safe music or YouTube safe music. I haven't been able to find it. And all the channels use the same things. Like you hear one channel doing something, another channel using the same thing. And you know me, I gotta be different. So what if we go out to this? Even though Geek Out Loud is going off, they can't get me for this. This is an original tune by Ben Foster. So Fandom Menace. Is that still over there? Not the Fandom Menace like you're thinking of, but is that what he called it? Yeah. Let's see. I'm about to bust out something on y'all. If it's still around here. We haven't given Ben a proper shout out in a while. BC Foster. Yeah, check him out. He actually has thefandommenace.bandcamp.com. And he's got tributes to Rebel Force Radio on there and a lot of Star Wars stuff. And yeah, so hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget the Patreon, patreon.com/geekoutloud if you're so inclined to help the show. And we will see you all around the Golaverse. Have a good one, everybody.